Let us start today's work. What we have done yesterday, what is the use of excess air, and how we can control the design temperature and pressure, and how we can control actually the production of heat by means of furnaces in order to make the power as per the design load, and in order to match the power supply as per the variable load throughout the day, throughout the week, or throughout the month, etc. We have discussed what we are going to do with the increased excess construction air, excess combustion air. What is the effect? Now we know the excess combustion air has the effect of lowering the temperature, furnace temperature itself, because since the radiant heat transfer it's a junction of difference in fourth power of the temperature itself, difference of the fourth power of the temperature of the furnace. Actually, what happens here, heat absorption will materially reduced when the furnace temperature are lowered by the use of excessive air. What is going on? If the air is excess, the combustion air, the excess air for combustion of of the fuel itself has a detrimental effect, has a lowering effect of the furnace temperature itself, because the radiant heat transfer is a function of difference of the fourth power of the temperature itself. Fourth power of the temperature of the furnace heat absorption will be materially reduced when the furnace temperature is lowered by the use of excess air. If you supply more air than required, then this air itself has a cooling effect of the on the on the burning gases or flue gases produced in the furnace itself, because it will get itself mixed with the flue gases, thus lowering its temperature, and thus the flue gases, which is acts as a convective heat transfer agent, also with due to this presence, the radiation heat for the radiations also formed, which will reduce. Thus, as a whole, heat absorption will materially naturally reduced when furnace temperature are lowered by the use of excess air. Thus, the furnace chamber entering the superheater is actually increased system. Thus, thus the gas temperature entering the superheater is supposed to be increased. This increase in gas temperature along with the increase in furnace rises the temperature increase itself. In the mass flow rises the steam temperature itself. The gas temperature as well as the mass flow of the gas, if we increase both of them, then it will result in higher transfer of heat, higher heat transfers, and higher heat temperature and higher heat transfer itself. Although the increased excess air is a means for temperature control, and the increased mass of gas in stack materially lowered the boiler efficiency itself. If excess air is a means of heat temperature control, the increased mass of gas in stack materially lower the boiler efficiency itself. So what is going on? Then if we think that increase in temperature is a means of internal control, it will not control exactly, it will lower the temperature itself. Why? Because the additional heat I've just told you is goes through the got mixed with the fumes or the flue gases, which is the carrier of heat, and thus lower its temperature considerably, then which goes on transferring that lower temperature to different cases, and which is less than the requirement, and it is difficult to increase it with instantaneously if the load is different. I mean, load is varies exactly. Load varies according to load variance. Thus, the boiler efficiency will be lowered. It will have to produce. You have to put more amount of coal and get less amount of heat and less amount of heat transfer, and thus less amount of energy production. So, which will all reduction leads to the reduction of its of efficiency itself. Now, next there is a one thing defined as tilting furnace, tilting burners. The tilting or vertically adjustable burners change the gas temperature entering the superheater section by changing the elevation for the firewall within the furnace itself. Now, first you have to understand what is the burner itself. It is producing certain flames. It is producing certain heat and which burns the coal. Now, the it will produce actually what we produce. It is producing a fireball, means a flame, which is in turn transferring heat to the coal itself and transferring, getting it boiler and burned itself. You can fix all these burners inside the furnace itself. There is no movement, or you cannot. You can, if possible, you can change the elevation of the firewall within the furnace. Means the flame which is produced by these burners, you can change the elevation. Means it can goes up if required, it can goes down if required. At lower leads, steam flow, the burners are tilted upwards. The usual range is around 20 degrees, so that lower portion of the furnace becomes less effective in absorbing energy. So if you moved upwards or tilted upwards, then say around plus minus 20 degree or so, Darnell is not vertical, it tilted in one side or side. This, the lower portion of the furnace will be less effective in burning temperature, absorbing heat. As we have moved up and as we have moved up the burner to a certain extent by a certain degree, then the lower portion of the furnace will be less effective. The gas enters the superheater at a higher temperature than if the burners are fixed. The lower portion of the furnace becomes less effective absorbing energy. So higher portion of the furnace will higher portion of the furnace will get more heat energy, and it will create higher amount of heat for in the flue gases itself. Thus, the temperature of the gas entering the superheater is happens to be in higher temperature itself than the burners were fixed itself. And the I'm just going to the next page. This is the portion of the burners itself. It's a beef scrape and the use of the burners to spray radioactive. This is the flame. This is the burner itself, which is creating flame and creating fireball in the furnace. And if it is slightly higher, it will hit the higher portion of the furnace itself. And here like this, and comparatively less amount of heat will go to the lower portion of the furnace. As the burnt gas after burning from the coal itself is comparatively stay in this portion of the furnace, this burnt gas will get heated to a considerable extent, and this heat will be transferred well well to above well transferred to the superheater of different superheater one by one itself. The steam temperature, thus leaving the convection superheater, can be maintained constant from less than one half and to the full load. Heat temperature leaving the convection superheater can be maintained constant from less than one half, 50%, or less than a full load. This is a satisfactory economical method of temperature control. So what we are doing, the temperature of the steam leaving the convection superheater can be maintained constant from less than half and load less than one half load to the full load. Means half of the temperature, steam temperature coming out of the superheater, convection superheater, so it can be 50% of the load and it can be 100% of the load. This is a satisfactory and economical control of temperature control itself. And burner selection. Large steam generators have several burners. Just one second, please. Large steam generators have several burners that are arranged in horizontal rows. Generally, since only some of the burners are needed at partial load, the use of the upper row of the burners will increase steam temperature in the same way as when the burners are tilted upwards. The effective furnace volume was reduced but by not firing the upper burner at low loads, but on tilting the burners downwards or on by tilting the burner downwards, the heat resistance of the land is reduced and the gas temperature entering the convection separator is kept near the desired level itself. So what we should have in large generators, or mostly all generators, we have several burners, and these burners are arranged in horizontal rows itself. Say some of the burners you can light and get your cold burn and get is the flue gas flow. And for partial load, we can fault like this, and for full load, you can increase the number of burners. And the use of the upper row of the burners will always plays the important part. To increase, this will increase steam temperature in the same way as when the burners are tilted upwards. When the burners are tilted upwards, it will same way, this effect will be same. If the burners only we light the higher row burners and not the lower burner itself, the effective furnace volume and the effective furnace volume was reduced, but not giving our upper burner at low loads. The heat absorption at load is reduced and the gas temperature entering the convection separator is kept near the desired level. So always what we are saying, the temperature we are trying to control the temperature of the gas, the temperature of the vapor coming out of the superheater itself, and that too we are being controlled by controlling the heat absorption by convection from the gas gas itself, and which we can control only if the temperature of the heat of the gas is considerably less. In that, they can transfer less amount of heat as far as the load is reduced. So heat absorption load is reduced, the gas temperature entering the convection separator is kept near the desired level itself. Now let us go to the air preheater. The temperature of feed water. What is the preheater? What is the application? First of all, we have seen one part of a steam power generator or a boiler. You see, we have alternator for producing current. We have turbines for running the alternator, and we have high temperature, high pressure steam coming out through nozzle, where its energy is converted to kinetic energy, impinging on the turbine blade, and it starts the rotation running. A portion of this steam vapor is released, and portion is absorbed again to supply supply to relieve some of the use some of the heat to the preheaters or somewhere else. So what is being done? The temperature of the preheater present is power valve with 5 or more feed water heater goes up to with 5 or more feed water heaters. Actually, we should have more than one, more or less 5 or 6 feed water heaters. Will the temperature of the feed water will make it as high as 270 to 280 degrees centigrade. Temperature of the feeder is so high, which is higher than the boiling point of the water itself. It means temperature of the flue gases leaving the economizer cannot be below the 290 to 480 degrees centigrade, because the flue gases heat exchange the temperature exchange the temperature difference between the gas and the air is say of the order of say 100 degrees centigrade. In such a high temperature of exist gases, the loss of energy with stack exhaust is high, and so the efficiency boiler will go down. So what we'll do? Feed water temperature should be 270 to 100 280 degree Celsius itself. Celsius itself. Just 1 second, please. Hmm. Actually, the temperature of air filter at present power plants with generally with 5 or more feed water heaters, and the temperature of feed water of in present 5 or 6 feed water heater, it becomes 720, 170 to 200, 280 degrees centigrade, which means this feed water is already boiling. It means the temperature of the flue gases leaving the economizers cannot be below 270, 280 because the gas to gas heat exchange, the temperature difference between gas and air should be of the order of 100 degrees centigrade. So what you are saying, temperature of the feed water will be around 170 to 200 degrees centigrade. Is much more than a boiling point. The temperature of the flue gases leaving this economizer unit, this free water unit, cannot be less than 270 to 280 degree because the gas to vapor or gas to water heat exchange, the temperature should be at least 100 degrees centigrade. Otherwise, the convection process will not be suitable itself. In such a high temperature of these gases, the loss of energy with stack exhaust is high, and so the efficiency boiler is comfortably low. So such a high temperature, so feed water temperature is 170, and the fumes which is making this thing in economizer is doing the, it should be at least 270 degree, means 100 degree more than the feed water, because in order to make the convective heat transfer between the flue gases to the feed water effective, you should be, the differential should be 100 degrees centigrade minimum, where the lower part will be, of course, the feed water where the heat is being transferred itself. Now, it is possible to cool it is possible to cool the exist gases in the heating of air supplied for the combustion of the fuel. Next, we go to the exit gases, gas coming out of the stack, but we don't want him to do so because it carries lots of heat. It will just waste the heat, and thus lowering the efficiency uh, of the boiler unit itself, which means we require more coal to, as an input, we require more coal for to burn to make the heat, and to make the heat we will get less power output from the high increased amount of from the heat produced from the increased volume of the coal, which means the efficiency will be less itself. Now, it is possible to cool the exhaust gases in the heating of air supplies for the combustion of fuel. You can make it, you can reduce this exit gas flow, and you can reduce only then if you use this heat to heat some of the air or water coming inside the furnace itself, air, water, or vapor. What will you do? The hot air, the usage of hot air makes the combustion process more efficient. It, if it, and it's become more stable and lessening the energy losses due to incomplete combustions and unburnt coals and unburnt coal, carbon, unburnt, unburnt carbon. So what is going on? There should be, in temperature of the air coming inside the furnace should be heated to have more efficient mixing, efficient heating, burning, means making it more stable and lessening the energy losses due to incomplete combustions and unburned carbon itself. The application of hot air also leads to the, so what we'll do with the stack exist air, we'll use it to heat up the incoming heat to a considerable extent, so that the heat is also utilized, and it results in hot air for efficient, more less unburned combustion of the unburned carbon, and almost reduce the unburned combustion and increase in unburned incomplete combustion. Now, the application of hot air also leads to the increase of theoretical flame temperature, and to the interfiction intensification of radiant heat transferred in the furnace as a result of increased furnace exit temperature. So if we come the hot air feed into the furnace, first of all, it will ensure better heating, better burning of the fuel, better reduce the incomplete combustion and use the ash itself. And this hot air, along with mixed with the gas, will increase or inflame the radiant heat temperature in the furnace. So as a result, the increased furnace exit temperature, gas temperature throughout the steam generator are raised above the level which should prevail the absence of a preheater itself. So this also enhances convection feed heat transfer in the downstream heat exchanger. So what is going on here? The furnace exit temperature, increased furnace temperature, the gas temperature throughout the steam generator are raised above the level which should prevail the absence of preheater. So what is going on? This additional heat, which is not required by the superheater, not absorbed by the superheaters, etc., and we don't have any air preheater, it will go on increasing everywhere in the furnace. Temperature, gas temperature throughout the steam generator are raised because we don't use it. We don't have much further use for it. We have burned the fuel. We have burned the fuel. We are heating the riser curve with water and coal as converting it. We have three sets of preheaters and then sent to the heater. So all the gases and heat as produced should it is not sufficient to heat the uh, concerned fluid inside the digital preheater as well as the heater economizer itself. So you have to use it further in the case of for preheating of the air. If there is no preheater, all this additional heat either move out through the stack, or it will unnecessarily heat the whole area, the whole boiler itself, thus making it much less comfortable to work on. So this also enhances, thus the use of preheater also enhances the convective heat transfer in the downstream heat exchanger. So as the hot heat is coming inside the furnace, and it will heat all the superheaters as well as further in the downstream, and in the downstream will get sufficient amount of heat for its requirement. Next, again the heated gas, then a portion will go out, allowed to go out, and a portion will again divert back to the air preheater or section of the air preheater itself. These are the exchanges. Convective heat transfer in the downstream heat exchanger. The gas temperature existing the air preheater vary from 35 degrees to 180 degrees centigrade, not only for the precaution of the acid corrosion problem. Just 1 second, please. Now, this was advanced the convective heat transfer in the absence of in the downstream heat exchangers. The gas temperature existing in the air preheater vary from 130 to 180 degrees, just we have mentioned earlier. But it is not only the prevention of acid corrosional process to remain above dew point temperature, but also remains poor, or disposition of the exhaust gas from the stack to the atmosphere itself. So we have two alternatives here. We have to send the gas for increasing the preheater temperature, air preheater temperature, and air preheater and the gas temperature exists the preheater varies from 135 degrees to 180 degrees centigrade, and this will carry the temperature of the steam passing through the superheater, which is being heated to the air superheat by means of the convection of flue gases, or sometimes also radiation of the flue gases, which is supposed to be at least 100 degrees centigrade, 200 degree more than the uh, inside temperature of the water itself. So if we do all these things perfectly, so the prevention of acid corrosion will prevent problem inside the tubes, and only a very small fraction will be released for the atmosphere to be moved away. Now, when the flue gases enter the preheater at temperature varying from 135 to 440 and air cooled to 130 to, thus air will cool to 130 to 180. Air is heated from every fan from outside, every fan on the outside temperature. When the flue gas and enter the air pressure at temperature varying between 130 to 450, the air cooled to this up to this. The air is heated from every fan and outside at that outside temperature say 40 to 60 degrees centigrade and to 280 to 400 centigrade means 5 times is air is increasing heat in the air is increased by use of the um, sub, by subtracting the flue gases from the energy stack and passing through the heated air preheater itself. For the same energy input on the furnace, the preheating of air saves a lot of fuel. This saving in fuel and the consequent increase in efficiency of the boiler are approximately proportional to the air temperature rise in the air preheater itself. A typical fuel saving rate of 4% for a 100 centigrade rise in the air temperature in in the air preheater itself. Typical fluid carrying out 4% participatory results in air temperature and above 11% to 280 degrees centigrade rise in the air temperature in the preheater itself. So what is going on? The fuel saving will be 4%. 4% less amount of oil in terms of tonnage or say tonnage is, can be utilized, and this in a 100 centigrade the typical fuel saving should be around 40%, 5%. 4% fuel by weight or 4% coal by weight can be saved by if we run the plant like this. So for a 110-degree rise in the air temperature and the air pressure, for a 110-degree rise in the air pressure, the air temperature. So with the help of the flue gases, uh, we have seen that up to 4% of coal use can be reduced, and we sent this unit to the this flame to the air preheater itself, and thus rising its temperature up to 110 degrees centigrade. The typical fluid saving are 4% for 100 degrees centigrade and rise in air preheater above 11% for 280 degrees Celsius rise in air temperature. And cleaner preheater also required for the operation of the pulverized coal furnaces. Air primarily of the temperature range 150 to 420 degrees centigrade. It is required for drying the coal in the pulverizer itself. So preheated air, we can send it to the furnace all right, but it has other applications also. This is required for the operation of pulverized coal furnaces. What happens in this pulverized coal? The primary air of the superheater ranges is 150 to 220 is required for drying the coal in the compulsory air oven. So we are using this heater, the temperature of the flue gases, to burn or to dry up the flue gas itself. The small primary air of the temperature ranges 150 to 440 degrees centigrade. It is air is required for drying coal in the itself. It is required for drying coal in the pulverizer. So, in the pulverizer, which I will explain later part of this syllabus, where we have to where we have to cut or break the coal in proper size, and this hot air should send it there in order to make the air completely dry for correct efficient burning itself. And small stacker fired with did not need preheated air. First of all, we have to understand for a big plant, this preheating system is required, but for a small plant, or maybe power plant, this system is not required at all. The small stacker fixed units do not use proceeding load air preheat or do not need preheated air. Those who are the small stackers, they don't need preheating again and again. They can simply throw this out because they don't need any protection. Now, however, it is beneficial for the use preheater in the large stoker fired boiler. For small boiler, it is not that required, but higher stoker fired boiler, the air temperature should not exceed 180 degrees centigrade to prevent the damage of solar material points. Mm. They are generally mm, air preheaters are generally divided into two types: the recuperative and regenerative. One is recuperative heater and one is regenerative heater. In the recuperative air heaters, heat is directly transferred from hot gases to the air across the heat exchanging surface. Heat we are directly transferring, and they are commonly tubular throughout, although some plate types are fixed in use are still in use. কিছু plate types, some of the plate types are still in use. The tubular units are essentially counterflow, and shell and tube boilers, heat exchanger in which the heat gases flow into the vertical drive tube and the air flow outside. Buffers are generally provided to maximize our contact with hot tube itself. The tubes are mathematically expanded into top and bottom tube sheets. So what we are getting here, the air meters are we divided into two groups first. One is the air recuperative preheaters, air regenerative preheaters. What is recuperative preheater? Air directly transform hot gases air to the air across the heat exchange devices. Means the heat exchange devices have some certain amount of air surrounding it, and they are directly transferred this hot gas to the air. The hot gas to this air transfer means that this air is being heated. Now, generally this heat exchanging surface, they are mostly tubular, and the hot gases there, the heat is directly transferred from hot gases to the air surrounding the preheating surface itself. They generally, these preheating surfaces, they means preheating surfaces are commonly tubular. Although one tubular types are still in use, the some plate types are also used. Also, we are using the for heat transfer itself. The tubular units are essentially counterflow cell and tube heat exchanger, and in which hot gases are flow inside the vertical set tube, and the air flow outside itself. So somewhere in essentially turbulent shell and tube heat exchanger, in which hot gases actually flow inside the straight tube inside, and the hot water going outside the and air is flowing outside. Thus, air is not going through the inside, but air is kept outside, and throughout the different spirals of the preheaters, we are blending the flue gases. Now, mm, buffers are provided sometimes to maximize or minimize the air instead of contact with the hot purposes. So the tubes are mathematically expanded into top and bottom tube sheet itself. The rate of heat transfer from gas to air is given by from the surrounding gas to the air, which is surrounding the heat exchanger itself. It is QPSH. Is WGQPG into T1 minus T2, TG1 minus TG2, where all equal to WA, temperature of the gas, specific heat of the temperature of specific heat of the temperature of the gas, and the temperature difference, which is equal to WA CPA TA2 and minus TA1, and which is equal to W0 A0 delta T into log mean. So this is the equation we have derived. The heat transfer, what is the amount of heat transfer we are having, with the which is equal to the specific weight of the gas itself, specific weight of the gas itself, and specific gravity of the gas, and temperature of the gas to minus the temperature of the gas after the preheating itself, and which is equal to the temperature of the air absorbed inside the tube, which is absorbed by the temperature of absorbed by the when you maximize the air contact with the hot tubes and fell into the vertical side, and the rate of hot transfer from air to air is given by WACP and T2 into T1, W0 U0 A0 delta T T magnum, T delta T T minimum, log minimum. So here we are using the amount of heat enthalpy is supplied, and at cross-sectional area and cross-section of the time, where 1 by U0 A0 is equal to half 1 by H1 AJ plus 1 by HD AJ plus W XW KW KIM as 1 by H0 A0. The two equations are here, and what is going on here, and HT heat transfer coefficient, heat transfer coefficient due to deposit on the inside factory surface. The temperature of the profile of the gas of the air are shown in the figure in this next page itself. Tubular gas figure, the gas is flowing through the tube. W gas mass of the outlet of the tube is equal to N into pi by 4 T1 to the power N into pi by 4 di to bi square by pi into Vg into I, on the volume of the gas, air cross-sectional area of the gas, pressure of the gas, and the number of tubes itself, where N is the number of tubes itself, D1 is the inside diameter of the tube, absent about 50 millimeter maximum, P rho 1 density of gas at inlet to the aerator itself, maybe approximately obtained from Pi, P0 by Rg, Tg. And HD, the heat transfer coefficient due to despite on the pressure, what is going on, you see, this is the flue gases coming inside these passages here, when to get weight, the specific weight of the gas, the temperature of temperature of the gas, and heater air is coming from this direction. This FD fan itself is passing through throughout like this well throughout this tube, which tube is carrying the flue gas, and somewhere the buffers also provided. Maybe some of them operation, some of them not operation, according to the situation exists, and this buffer can be controlled accordingly itself. There should be TG1, delta 1, FD, FD goes to the air itself, and so the gas is flowing through the tube is like this, FD, and n number of tubes, D1 inside diameter of the tubes above 50 millimeter, rho 1 density of gas at the inlet of the air preheater may be around P1 is equal to P by Rg into Tg into I, and Rg is the characteristic gas temperature, 0.287 kilojoule per kg degree Kelvin. P atmospheric pressure, air of the atmospheric pressure 1.03 bar. Tgi inlet gas temperature, which is supposed to be measured. Tvj inlet gas velocity, which is measured, which should be 12 to 14 miles per second. Let us keep it here. Tomorrow I'll go further because nobody of you are present here. I'm finishing it today.